Okay, for those of you who are following along, this will be probably 17 or so, and we're getting into faith 2021. And I decided to go on a multidisciplinary, multi-subject approach here. But it's good. It's good to broaden things out. This is a deep subject. I told you, and I shared with you. I'm going to take my time with this. This is Jeremiah with New Covenant. You just tuned into Faith 2021, where Jeremiah is going slowly in a pedestrian fashion through the concepts of faith. Okay, which is basically most of your Bible. It's easy to teach on faith. However, we can't cover every single item. However, I did promise, and I will keep my promise. I will go through the primary basics with you. The things that you really need to know pertaining to what confidence in Jesus Christ is and in the Christian faith. Okay? We will go through the things. It doesn't mean that I don't want you to be open to your local pastor or something like that. That's not, no. It's just that this ministry reaches people who are in Sharia law, who are in Shintoism in Japan, a drug cartel, ex-people who've done horrendous things possibly, and God might be calling them to save them. Because God can save just anybody He wants to. And we might reach some people who God is touching them, and they want to return back to love and truth that Adam and Eve once had. And leave lies alone and violence and come to the lovable Jesus Christ and to become what they know they want to be. They know that they want to be a person that's kind. They want to leave Allahhood and put it in the garbage can where it belongs. A book that tells you it's okay to slaughter people and so forth and horrendous, horrific stuff. You decided that you want to leave that garbage. And you want to join the love team here in Matthew chapter 5, which we just referenced. You want to join the team that turns the other cheek, that loves their enemy, not slaughters people in their sleep. Okay? And the offer is right there for you. And if I were you, a Muslim or drug cartel or gang member in Chicago, because every now and then some people who are involved in wickedness, God is going to give them an opportunity to get out, because God is not willing that anybody should perish. But He can't make you love, care. He can't do that. You're going to have to do that. You're going to have to want to be and take the opinion that being a lover of people and hurting people, you're going to have to take that opinion. You got to do it. You're going to have to dump the stuff that somehow you found yourself in the toilet bowl of refuse, and you're going to have to get out of the refuse. You're going to have to do it. And it's easy to do. Now let's get back to faith. I didn't mean to go into point number 1, but I decided to do it. Let's go to point number 2. This is Jeremiah with New Covenant, and we greet you in the only name given. We're going to get right to the lesson. So number 2 was examples of confidence. I gave you an example, 1 or 2. I think I gave you just one, but we mentioned a few things. I'm going to have to go through that video again, but we talked about David having a body experience as a Christian or as an Israelite, because we're Israelites, and we've been grafted into the Moses clan. And my point is that your body experience is similar to David's. You're going to experience things where you're going to have to wait in your bed and wait on the Lord, or you're going to have to anticipate some help. You're not going to go into the world of doubt and doubting that God is not going to help you. Through your chastening, through your trouble, through your persecutions. You're going to sit there and you're going to do exactly what David said. You're going to stand in awe. You're going to have great anticipation. And that's what faith means. And that's what point number 2 is, an example, okay, of having confidence in your day-to-day walk. I also added David anticipating, with great anticipation, the rapture in chapter 17. David has multiple references to having faith in God throughout his Psalms, And in the book of Kings, probably there's a few, but the point is that we have someone who was anticipating things in number one, which is earth expectations, and number two, the rapture, which is your second expectation. Okay? Now, the first realm, number one, is body experiences and expectations in your body. Okay? That's called faith. Now, hope is your second expectation. Okay? And that's singular. That's only one event. Now, there's a lot to the one event. It's one event, but it has a lot of material. I mean, if you're waiting for the Lord to come and you love the Lord, it's not just waiting on the Lord in love. It's waiting to get out of here. You know, it's waiting for God to stop children being kidnapped in Central America and tortured, and the things that are going on in your world. You want it to stop because you're sensitive to other human beings and what they're experiencing. That's why Paul said that we groan. Even nature is groaning. Why? Because there's a lot of evil going on. We're not wearing Bless Me t-shirts, drinking Kool-Aid. You know, no, we're wearing Bless Me t-shirts when the Lord comes and stops what's going on. That's our Bless Me shirt. Does it mean we're not saying we're blessed right now? That's not the point. We are blessed right now. But if you're blessed to endure funerals and hospital trips, then that's not the real blessed. That's why faith is not called the blessed faith. Is it? No, it's not. But your hope is called what? A happy confidence. The confidences you have now are not going to all be happy. That's simple 8th grade logic. If you read The Island of the Blue Dolphin in school in the United States here, you should understand what I'm saying. That's okay. This is not difficult. Now let's move on to number 3. I could go into 2 more, but I'm going to make this quick. 3 is agnostic atheist. I talked about people who don't know about God, don't care to know, even though He created them, and they're enjoying the fruits of His powers and His intellect. And some people just reject. Atheist means no. Not God. I am not buying it. The go God idea, I reject. So, and a lot of these people are Babylon's friends. Remember, Babylon is a multicultural, multiracial, multi-religious idolatry entity. That's what Babylon is. They worship Beatles one minute, Mary's flying across the room, they're kissing the feet of a chicken. You never know what Babylon's going to do, because they don't have any restrictions on, "Hear, O Israel, the Lord thy God is one Lord." That's why they're called Babylon. Babylon is essentially an adulteress that's running around the streets. That's why it's called the Great Harlot. You understand? And the people who are atheists and agnostics, who don't care about God and who reject God and the idea of God, they're actually very good friends with Babylon if you look at the world demographic. They're very good friends with Babylon. It's interesting that the oil interaction internationally has Russia hugging Muslims, in spite of the fact that their ideologies are contrasting. Why are they such good friends? Very interesting. I'll tell you why they're friends. Because the devil's not fragmented. The devil pretends as though he's disorganized by telling you Karl Marx doesn't believe in God and the Muslims believe in God. See, Karl Marx in the Communist Manifesto says that religion is the opiate of the masses. In other words, we're all fairies. So the Muslims say there's a God, and the communists say there is no God, and they're adamant about it. And you can't say anything about God in Russia. However, the leaders are hugging each other and kissing each other. Isn't that interesting? They're joining economically. And it looks like the Battle of Armageddon might use both of these demographics to fill up the plain of Megiddo, where the blood will be as high as the horse's head. International politics is very interesting. Let's go to categories. Everybody fits a category as far as your denomination. What you preach and what you teach and what your data is and what you say, it puts you in a category, whether you like it or not. And we can clearly make a very simple, precise category based upon what you say and what you do. And non-denominational teachers have a tendency to have the ability better than those who have a denomination because they're clouded by something that makes them a denomination. When you technically shouldn't have a denomination, because there is no denomination in my red letters here. I don't see a denomination here anywhere. Paul never had one denomination. No, he never had one title. He said to the church of. That's all he said. Well, what's wrong with copying Paul the Apostle? Why would you add, Luther in this and whatever, and Mr. Methodist or something? Why would you do that? Well, it's because you're making an error. Does it mean that you're not saved and the church is no good? That's not the point. The point is that the non-denominational Bible teachers have a tendency to be more adept at teaching their Bible and also at not getting lost in some area that you have your own little pet peeve or your own little, I want to speak in tongues for 30 years group. It's not biblical for you to pick a segment of the Bible and for you to go hog wild with it. The Bible is a very deep and wide and broad set of ideas. I'm a Methodist. I think Luther was special or something. You know what? I consider it all error. Now, I don't consider it error calling it something as heretical. That's not my point, okay? Let's keep going. Let's get into number 5, which was these three abide. I talked about these three abide and do they abide? That's number 1 question. Also, if they don't abide, what do we have? In other words, you should abide with all 3 of these. And Paul says they do abide. Then Paul contrasts or contradicts his statement. He's not contradicting himself, he's giving you contrast. When he says, some people believe, but they don't have love. Now he just said these 3 abide. So then why did he say some people have only number 1? They have faith for today. Why did he say that? Because you have to pay attention. He's saying these 3 abide in the called, chosen individual. You're not just called, you're chosen, and you're faithful. See, you enter into all 3 of these categories. You can be called and not have love. That's the point. And that's non-saving faith. Right? And if you're called, you can have faith, which is number 1 of the 3. Number 1 is faith while you're walking in your body. Confidence in daily activities, confidence in daily things coming to you that you're not sure and you don't know how it's going to come to you. That's an expectation, very firm, you're very confident, but you don't necessarily know how it's going to come to you. I don't know how God's Holy Spirit is going to come to me in 5 minutes. I don't know. I don't know the origin of the Holy Spirit per se. I don't know a lot of things about what I'm receiving. However, I'm confident that I'm going to receive it, even though I don't know a lot about it. That's what faith means. You don't know a lot about something, but you're still expecting it. I don't know a lot about God's love per se, but I'm expecting it 5 minutes from now. I'm expecting it tomorrow. That's number 1. That's faith. I'm expecting a healing tomorrow. I'm expecting something supernatural from some other realm idea. Okay? But I'm expecting it. I believe that David killed Goliath even though I wasn't there to see it. And I don't have evidence. I believe that Jesus Christ is preparing a place for me, but I don't see it. That's called faith. You understand that? I believe that Jesus Christ is seated at the right hand of the Father in glory, which is about 24,000 miles above my head right now. It's a rough estimate, but I'll venture to say that that's very close to where Father is, based upon the Scriptures. For those of you who take time to study Bible science, like I do. So Father is approximately 24,000 miles above my head and probably 12,000 miles above the star Polaris. So I'm confident in these things, even though I don't know a whole lot about them at all. That's number one. What are you thinking while you're in this body as a Christian? That's basically what number one is. Number two is hope. It's only one idea. I get to be with the one who loves me, and I can't wait. That's what number two is. That's what keeps me excited the most. What keeps me excited the most is I'm going to be with the one who loves me the most. And that's logical. It's logical for you to be with somebody who loves you more than anybody else. People want to play roller coaster affections with you. Relatives, friends, they'll play roller coaster affections with you. The Lord has no shadow of turning. Never. He's love supreme. So there's a good reason, a logical, reasonable reason for me to hold on to number two when these three abide. That's number two. That's hope. It's the blessed hope. And number two requires number three. Number one and two should have love. Number one and two have love for the winner, for the overcomer, for the true and faithful servant. Called, chosen, and faithful. Who was never offended and never ashamed to the point that the Lord just couldn't handle it. With your engagement period, and the engagement is off. After we talk about that, but let's not go into that anymore. All I want to do is talk about number one and number two right now, that both of these require love in order for them to be successful. That's why there's faith, hope, and love. Now, Paul talks about number one without number two and three. Two and three are mutually dependent. Two and three go together. You can't have two without three, and you can't have three without two. Okay? That's why I'm taking my time with this. I'm going to go over this again and again until I think you got it. In other words, Paul said all three of these abide. Okay? But they abide in the true servant. Then he contrasts it with someone who enters into the church and they want to play games. They want to play with money, they want to look at the gold, they want to play with the women, the man, or something. Who knows what wrong motive they have. And they're going through the motions. Judas went through the motions. A lot of people go through the motions. It's sad, it's lamentable, but it happens. And Paul is citing that when we looked at what that's Corinthians 13. He is elucidating or explaining that type of individual who walks into the church, sits in the pew, and very similar to Hebrews 10 that we referenced earlier, is an individual who has been illuminated or who has experienced the initial impact of becoming a Christian or joining the church, or maybe even thinking about joining the church and just walking in. They walk out. And as John said, they left us because they were not of us. And that's an individual who has encountered the methodology, the buzzwords, some of the procedures that we do in the Church of Jesus Christ, and they have never learned or owned the love of God or the love of their brethren. They haven't, and I don't know how it happens, but it happens. Okay? So these three abide. Now, when number one abides alone, that's the TV plastic stuff that we've been referencing here. Going through the motions. Did not I do things in your name? And the Lord's going to tell them, depart from me, I never knew you. Meaning, I knew about you, I knew you walked in my church, but I never knew you personally. And that's based upon criteria that we're going over here a little bit right now. I'm not going through all of the criteria. Okay? That reveals the individual who the master is going to, unfortunately for them, say, I know you went to church, I know you were on TV, I know you did this, I know you did that, I know you had a big name, I know you were called Pope so-and-so, whatever, Cardinal so-and-so, but I never knew you personally. That's the point. And Jesus gives us the criteria for knowing him personally, which is what, Jeremiah? The commandments of Jesus Christ. Are you speaking them? TV people, popes, Pharisees, whatever, they don't teach the commandments of Jesus Christ, which center on humiliation and a caring son. They don't focus on any of this. Therefore, they're not adoptable, and they will never be servants of the Lord, and they will never be servants of the Lord in eternity. That's the point, okay? Now let's move on. I'm just about done with my review here. I'm gonna close in a moment here. We're gonna have a short day for those of you who are. I'm gonna have a short day with Faith 2021 because I'm gonna get into inspiration. I have a whole board here on faith and what happens to the soul. What happens? What is the daily interaction of you and your world being a Christian? What are you doing every day? Your daily inhale, your daily inspiration, your daily energia in the Greek, your daily force, energy. I'm going to talk about that. That's going to be point number 9 in Faith 2021. It's a big issue. As a matter of fact, I'm going to probably make that 8. I might separate that and give you an introduction to I might call it Spire or Spirit, because I'm having an ongoing lesson here with this sometimes. Sometimes I plan ahead, sometimes I go off the cuff, as they say here in America, off the cuff. I'm going to go, and number 8 will be spirit, psyche or soul, and status, based upon your confidence and your walk in that confidence. In other words, your daily confidence walk, and what is the soul, what is the status of the soul? That's what I'm really saying. What is the status of your soul, and how does it get that way? You know, how does your soul, how does your innermost being, what's the condition? And this is very important. It's based upon your confidence and your walk daily. And what is the status of your soul? What is the condition? How do you believe, which is what? Number 1 of the 3, daily walking. How does your daily belief interact, and what does it do with you with the physical, metaphysical life? In other words, how does your soul interact with Father's juice, the force? How does your body interact with the force? How do you get the force and get that force, get that energy? How do you get it, and from a physical perspective, from what we might call a scientific look at belief, and the choo-choo train you. What are the physical aspects of you believing and God giving you power? Now, I might go over all the points of power, but it's basically you're going to be inspired, and we're going to talk about that. Okay? Now, number 6 was 2 kinds of faith. I already talked about that at length, and I'll go over that again with you, but not now. And number 7 was the faith, faithing, and hope. What are these terms? And they're very important terms. I went over them with you. I'm going to go over them with you again, but not right now. And of course, number 8, which is what I want to talk about before I shut down for the day. And I will go over all these again. For those of you who are interested, and many of you are, I'm going over all these quite a few times. Don't you fret. Because some of you are eager to learn, and you should be, because that's what love is. Love is a desire to be intelligent. That's quite obvious for a 4th grader, and I've had students who knew that love was intelligence, that the way you impress your parents and make your parents happy, a lot of my students, you could tell that they were thinking about their parents most of the time because they love their parents. And they want to make their parents happy. And they know that when they do good, that their parents are going to be happy. It's common sense. And that we're here to make ourselves and our relatives and so forth happy. We're here to make everybody happy. Friends, everybody. And your friends and your relatives and your Christian friends are going to be happy when they can see that you're devoted to intelligence. You talk about inspiring people and a hot air balloon lifting you up higher and happier than you were before. An amelioration supreme is by you taking in the truth, and everybody around you is going to rejoice with you. You know, it's a community of everybody making everybody happy based upon you being kind and you putting on intelligence. That's why the word bliss means eulogia. Because God is happy with intelligence. When Moses saw the burning bush, he saw an entity that burns with intelligence, big time. And it's sad to see some of you quit. I've had students quit, relatives quit when it comes to intelligence and academics and learning and vocabulary and the word, especially related, of course, to the teachings of Jesus Christ. You're not using your mind, and the Bible says that you must love God with your mind. You have to. You can't get away from it. Some people try to be kind to people and be sloppy with their mind and try to use it as an excuse to listen to country western music, classical music, watch movies all night, and it's not going to work for you because the Lord demands that you love Him with your brain. It's a demand. I'm telling you right now, a lot of people think they're going to get away with it. I've known people in my life who think they're going to get away with not using their mind, going to church, smile, and go become an entertainment a video game junkie or something. It's not going to work out for you. Christianity is not just being nice to people and so forth. It's deeper than that. And it starts with everybody has to kneel before Jesus Christ who has an opportunity or you're toast. That's our big issue. That's one of our that's one of our top 3 or 4 issues in Christianity is that we teach the severity of not taking advantage of loving the lovable Jesus Christ with all of your heart, soul, mind, and strength when you had an opportunity to do so. Because it's required of you. It was required of Adam and Eve to leave the tree alone. It was required. God has requirements. A lot of people, even in America here, in the apostasy, a lot of these quacks on TV, the devil's using them, and a lot of people everywhere that God is your buddy. He loves everybody unconditionally. Do your thing. That is not the case. That's false doctrine. God demands respect. You know, we had that famous song here, and I don't want to get you listening to secular music. I listen to secular music off and on. I might listen to some of my favorite secular music today on a drive to the gym or something. I might put a couple of songs on, but I don't listen to it very much because I still listen to some of my old secular music, but I can't do it as a regular diet. I'll get in trouble. I will. But I don't want you to get confused, but some of the secular music we have here in America is from Christian people. Some of them are going wild, but that's not my point. My point is that we can reference it, but it's a dangerous road, and Jeremiah can do that, and I don't want you trying it, some of you out there. I want you to listen to worship music pretty much 99% of the time, okay? I want to qualify this. But they had a song called Respect. And in the song, the lady said, find out what it means to me. This is very significant. It applies to Christian doctrine. The lady who sang that used to sing in the church, so maybe she's still in the church. I hope she is. I wouldn't sing secular music, but it doesn't mean that she's condemned. I want you to listen to me carefully. She says, R-E-S-P-E-C-T, find out what it means to me. This is very significant because God is telling you in Jesus Christ, I want you to go to my Son and respect me as God and find out what it means to me. This is extremely significant in a secular song because it means a lot to a person who has their brain screwed on halfway that you're going to have to respect them. And we have to respect God as to who He is. And if you don't want to find out what it means to Him, just like the lady said, find out what it means to me. Because the person she's singing to, theoretically, does not know what it means to her. That she demands respect. That's the point. And can a woman who lives in wherever, Los Angeles or wherever she lives, demand respect? Yes. Can God demand respect? More so? He's God. In other words, if you come over to my house, let's flesh this out a little bit. If you come over to my house and you disrespect my house, you don't know what respect means to me. You don't know that I appreciate and demand respect. I appreciate it and I demand it. You don't know that. Now when you do, we can communicate. There's a basis for communication. And the basis for communication is the fear of the Lord. That's the basis. You respect Him for who He is. I had to respect my dad. He was in charge. If I got sloppy with that, I could find my butt in trouble. You must maintain the respect due to the authority. If you don't, you'll find yourself in flames. That's the point. Find out what it means to me. And the only way to find out what it means to me, or to God specifically, is for you to listen to what He told you to do. That's the point. You're in my house, and you're disrespecting my house. The world is God's world. He made it. It didn't come from nowhere. This is why this Darwinist devil stuff in the universities of the United States and elsewhere is damnable, and it's very sick, because they're telling you you're enjoying the world and nobody made it. So Darwin is a person who likes to go in people's homes and not give them any respect for their property. Even to the point where he says survival of the fittest. If I want to achieve more than you in your house, I'll kill you in your house and take your house. Manifest destiny. Adaptation. It's all an excuse to be wicked. That's all it is. The Indians needed to be slaughtered because they were less thinkers or something. The point is that everything in the world is all about abuse. It's about abusing God's respect for what he created, and that's all it is. Darwin said that the food you eat came from nowhere. God went through a lot of trouble to create that tree for you, and then all of a sudden you're saying God didn't make the tree, and you're eating the fruit. Now, how is the owner of the fruit going to feel? That is common sense. You walk in my house, you eat my fruit, and you say I didn't make the fruit. I didn't work for the fruit. So you need to know what RESPECT means, and you need to find out what it means to me. For you to respect my house. I work for that thing you're destroying over there. As my dad used to say, tear it up. Obviously, he wasn't happy with people tearing up stuff he went to work for and purchased. And you shouldn't be happy. I mean, if God created everything and he holds all things together in his mind, because atoms don't hold themselves together. God's brain holds atoms together. And so he's holding everything together. He created everything. And then some guy who got a big beard comes along, some hippie-looking dude from Jerry Springer, and says, no, everything came by accident. And I want everybody in the United States to go to college and pay $70 for a book that tells you that. So you've got to think, how does God think about respect to Americans who are buying this book for $70 a whack that says God didn't create anything, and the fruit you're eating came from nowhere, and don't thank God for the fruit you're eating. So how does Father think 24,000 miles above your head right now, sitting on his throne, looking through Polaris at you like a grasshopper? How does he think right now? Or rather, what is he thinking? I'm here to tell you, he's not a happy camper. It's common sense. It's fourth graders. Everybody should get this. That the process of becoming a Christian and believing in the gospel and having faith, this is Faith 2021, is for you to believe and understand that you're believing in reality when you start believing that something didn't come from nowhere, and that you need to show respect, and find out what it means to God. Because that song, that one lyric right there, tells Christianity and faith in a nutshell. That we're back to finding out what it means to respect God. Because Adam and Eve did not do so, and their children, and we didn't do it living in sin. And now Jesus says, come unto me, all you, and learn how to get in order. And start respecting God again, and enjoy the benefits of finding out what it is to respect God again. When you find out what it is to respect God again through these scriptures, you're going to find the blessing of, number one, going to heaven and not going downstairs. Number two, you're going to enjoy a better life because you're going to be enlightened. You're the Illuminati. You're the intelligent ones now. By you giving God the respect and the glory due to his name. That his name means he creates everything and he preserves everything. How can you get a book that costs $70, $80 at the bookstore, at the university around here, that says Darwinism is cool, and you expect God to be happy about it? He went through all the trouble to create everything from top to bottom, and you go, oh, this fruit's delicious. It came from nowhere. The airplane put itself together by itself. The DNA molecule, 10 to the 66 power, I think it is, of data bits, organized, cleans itself, performs duties, joins information. Millions and millions of bits of information interacting. Molecules that have rowboat motors on them, and all this interaction going on between the DNA molecule and the DNA molecule. It all happened by accident. A lightning hit a rock and some water, and it made the DNA molecule. Lightning hit water. That's what. And your students and your children in America, and a lot of people are spending $80 a whack at all of this stuff that says that this happened by accident. So you got to wonder how God is feeling, who created everything, the Lord Jesus, who went through all the trouble to do all of this, and then all of a sudden, millions of people are buying, thousands of them rather, are buying books at $80 a whack that say that God didn't do it. Sociology books, psychology books. People are not accountable for their behavior. I just got the American, the APA book, their latest dictionary. I just bought it. There are terms in there that say you're not accountable for your behavior. Don't worry about it. Sociology is big time. You're not accountable for your behavior. Philosophy says you're not accountable for your behavior. In the United States and elsewhere in these universities. The theater. Shakespearean wannabes who write books and plays, modern plays. They say you're not accountable, do what you want to do, anarchy's cool, and don't tell me anything different. Jeremiah's done. We're going to go to spirit, psyche, soul, nuts. What does your faith do to you physically? We're going to talk about that. What does it do physically? How do you become a choo-choo train of joy? Taking in joy, and giving in, taking energy and using that energy to bless other people and to give and to share. And I'm going to go into that, okay? Giving and sharing and taking in God's gifts. Take God's gift to you freely. And then give it away. Give it back. Give it to somebody else. And as the Master so wonderfully stated in Luke 6, pressed down, shaken together. Deep, true, agape, satisfying love. That's what this is all about. And it's wonderful. And I feel it's a great privilege to share this deep love with other people around these plateaus as a Bible teacher, and I'm humbled by it. It's wonderful. I know that I'm helping people. When people give me back love, pressed down and shaken together, that's what I live for. I've had relatives tell me that something's wrong with that you need to prioritize material and really enjoy the material that we enjoy. I can't do that. I don't have room in my heart for that. I don't have room in my heart for the Master. I don't have room in my heart for a toy or something that's going to burn up that I can't take with me. I don't have room. Now, some people will say, obviously, and I get that from some people that I've encountered, and I'll probably encounter it again, where they say, I don't appreciate hard work, I don't appreciate things. Don't let people bother you with that Luke 6 stuff. People want to separate themselves from you because you don't prioritize material things. And what's wrong with you? Leave us alone. Well, I don't need you anyway. I want to go find people who think like I do. That's what I want to do. And that's why evangelism is huge for this ministry. That if there's a Muslim woman who wants to join the love team and leave the hate team, the Muslims and so forth, then I'm here for you. If you're in a drug cartel and your family is murderers and drug dealers, You want to move to the United States and get you a visa or something? Then I encourage you to do so. And come over here and join us Northeastern Americans. We have a wonderful heritage here. Don't let a lot of politicians and Southern people and greedy and gang members and filthy people in the United States fool you. America has some of the most amazing people that God has ever taught and has fostered. Especially in the northeastern part of the USA here. The Quaker types. Love your neighbor, everyday people. Do we stand out in the world? We sure do. Because most of the world lays in sin and murder and violence. Just look at the Quran, just look at your Jesuit vow, just look at the drug cartel, go around and you'll find out. Okay? Jeremiah's done for the day. Shalom and Maranatha. We're listening to the voice of who? The Messiah, Jesus.